Today, my friends, I want to share with you some personal symptoms that I experienced for many, many years. But not only do I want to share a list of those symptoms that I went through, but also one of the reasons for why they stuck around. Let's dive in. Friends, welcome to another video, and I don't want to waste a single second. I want to dive into this video and the content right away. Today we are talking about symptoms. Now, I have a list of symptoms that I experienced, and I'm presenting these symptoms to you so that you can understand that if I can get over all of these symptoms, so can you. I know there's a lot of success stories out there, people going through my program and such, and I want you to understand that no matter what you're going through, your nervous system has the ability to find balance again. Your subconscious mind has the ability to rewire its old conditioning again. But first question here is, Dennis, what is the main thing that kept these symptoms alive? Now, this is what you must understand, my friends. All of these symptoms for me were coming from a dysregulated nervous system, and at the root of that dysregulated nervous system was a spiritual being that had identified himself as inferior, incapable, less than, vulnerable, perfectionist, afraid, and I had forgotten what I really was. I used to cling on to control and certainty all the time. And getting my symptoms checked out by a doctor, a physician, I mean, yes, you want to make sure you rule out all the important things, of course, but if you're always going for that reassurance, right, that's a separate story. Now, when I had received that reassurance by the physician or any other professional, I had this moment where, okay, I'm good. And I had realized after some time that I was chasing that feeling. I was chasing that feeling of certainty and the feeling that I had control over what my body was going through. So it wasn't so much that I was afraid of my symptoms and what they were going to do to me, but I was chasing some kind of a need to understand them, control them, have certainty around them, and that continued to fuel my symptoms. Now, I had associated myself with being many things, and a lot of times we cannot see that these associations, these meanings can connect to our anxieties, can connect to our dysregulated nervous system, but they are at the root of all of these things, and you have to understand that. If you have gotten yourself checked out, there's no structural problem, these sorts of things, then you can trust in the fact that what you've been holding on to for so many years is causing the rigidity, the fear, the need to stand guard, the inflexibility in mind, all of these things that are causing the body to feel like it's in a constant state of tension, constant state of anxiety, constant state of protection towards something that may never happen. And some of the symptoms that I went through are these. The first one was urgency. It felt like emergency signals were firing through my brain and into my body. There was always this state of emergency, urgency and emergency. So I urgently needed to shower. I urgently needed to drive. I urgently needed to contact someone. I urgently needed to check what was going on in the news. I urgently needed to go on social media and scroll to find out what my favorite athlete was doing. Urgency, urgency, urgency. This anxiety, this dysregulation, this imbalance within mind and body causes you to feel like you need to do everything urgently. Dizziness was a big one. Dizziness was a big one, and for a long time I didn't think I would overcome the dizziness because it felt very chronic. There was a baseline level of dizziness that I experienced every day, but then it got worse depending on certain situations and the environments that I was in. Vertigo was a big one that a lot of people don't talk about, actually. Vertigo, especially getting out of bed and into bed, right? That vertigo, muscle twitching was a big one. And for a long time, I was convinced that it was something very, very serious, some kind of MS or ALS. So muscle twitching was there. And I could not believe that these things could be connected to these symptoms, especially muscle twitching and trembling. I was trembling all the time. I was trembling especially after I exerted myself. Like if I had physically exerted myself or mentally or emotionally exerted myself, I would sit or lay down, and it was almost like ants were crawling through my body. Brain fog was always there, trouble with concentration and memory, constant fatigue was always there. I ran myself down mentally, emotionally, physically. There were chronic headaches and migraines. I always had a thumping heart. It wasn't so much that my heart was beating fast, but it was beating very hard. And I was quick to become irritated or angry, right? So that level of irritation in the background, that background alarm was always there. And that part of me, that inner child, that lower self, was always looking to see what I could be irritated by next, because conflict fueled my anxiety. Conflict fueled the imbalance in my nervous system. And part of me loved that. Part of me loved looking for conflict. How can I get into some kind of conflict? What can I blame today? Who's to blame? I can't believe he's doing that, she's doing that, or he never did that, or she never did that. And I got to a point where I realized that looking for conflict and engaging in conflict was one of those things that I had to let go of, and that is how I found inner peace. And I had a lot of sleep problems as well. Aching, sore muscles, and heightened sensitivity to sound, right? Especially sound. Light was there as well, but definitely sound. So I found myself, not entering into environments anymore because the sound was irritating me. I was very sensitive to it. And a lot of you are asking, well, when these symptoms hit, what do I do in that very moment? Well, there's a number of things that you can do, but more so, our general goal here, my friends, is to understand that to that lower self, to the nervous system, we must begin to send signals of safety. Now, you can do that mentally, you can do that emotionally, you can do that behaviorally, you can do that through your imagination, you can do that through faith. And I don't care how you do it, but you need to do it consistently, and it needs to be something that you do not move away from. You do not look at your results and go, it's not working for me. I need to find some kind of pill or supplement or that. Instead of that, quick fixing again, right? Going into quick fix mode, you gotta stay the course. And the course is always sending safety signals to your nervous system. So in that very moment, when you're in the cafe or when you're doing whatever you're doing, right, and symptoms hit, first things first, you want to acknowledge them. I acknowledge that the symptom is here. I acknowledge you. And just by acknowledging it, you're kind of neutral towards it. You're saying, I'm here for you, little one, right? I know you're trying to send me these signals, right, through my physical body. You don't want me to feel certain emotions. You don't want me to feel, things that I felt when I was a child. So instead, the body or the lower self tends to distract through these physical symptoms. Thank you, right? I acknowledge you. I allow you. So after you acknowledge, you want to allow. I allow you to be here. I allow you to be here. I allow you to be here. There's no tug of war. There's no fighting, right? And you're not listening to your lower self saying, oh, this is horrible and I've got to get myself out of the situation. Of course, during panic attacks and such, that can happen. But you want to understand that at the root of all this is protection. So we acknowledge it. Hello, welcome. You allow it. Stay as long as you want, right? And we respond to it. And when we feel like we're responding to the symptom, it literally feels like we're communicating with someone, and you literally are communicating with someone. You are communicating with the part of you that is holding on to belief systems that were ingrained into you from childhood and even beyond that, right? So acknowledge, allow, and respond. And as you respond, as I mentioned, you're going, well, stay as long as you want. We're going to continue to engage in the environment the way we're doing. And if you continue to respond to your symptoms this way over time, you're going to find that you start to feel comfortable with your symptoms and the fear starts to lessen. As the emotional fear starts to lessen around your symptoms, you're going to find that at the root, your symptoms will feel like they no longer need to be there protecting you. This comes over time, so you want to give it weeks, months, even years for some people. It took many years to get here, and it's not going to be an overnight success kind of thing, right? So make sure that you stay the course, my friends. And if this video spoke to you, please leave your more than anxiety moment below, and I'll do my best to respond. Remember that you are more than anxiety. I love you all so much, and I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please make sure to share it with somebody else in need. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.